Welcome all. Now I am going to discuss about ER diagram issues. In previous session, we discussed what is ER diagram and how we are going to construct the ER diagram. ER diagram are most widely used design model for the database creation, even though we are facing some limitations in the ER diagram. So those things we are going to discuss in this session. The notation of an entity set and a relationship set are not precise, so it is possible to define a set of entities and a relationship among them in a number of different ways. So the following issues we are facing in an ER diagram: how the entity set uses versus attributes, and the use of entity set versus the relationship set, and binary versus n-array relationship set, and placement of a relationship attributes. Now we will discuss one by one the use of entity set versus attributes. We know very well each and every entity having an attribute set. For the same example, the university database management, if we are considering the faculty entity, so the following attributes we can maintain: faculty ID, name, mobile number, and department, etc. So here the faculty ID may be a primary key, and then additional attributes will be available. The considering a phone as a separate entity, because the phone number we want to collect additional information, whether that number is a mobile number or home or office, like that. So if we want to specifically mention the location for the phone number, then it is not possible to add the phone number as a one of the attribute under the faculty entity. So then what may be a solution? So we need to maintain the phone as a separate entity. So then we have to make a relationship between the faculty and phone. So that is shown in the figure B. So this is the issue or confusion of making a AR diagram. So maybe the phone number we can treat it as a multi-value attribute also, because a faculty may have a more than one phone number. So it is considering as a multi-value attribute. In the same way, so we want to make our model in a better way. So we want to identify what kind of the phone number is this. So we want to add the location or type of the phone number in the sense. Obviously, we have to treat that phone number as a separate entity. So this confusion is there. So this is also one of the issue of making a ER diagram, whether we need to add the phone number as a separate entity or attribute or multi-value attribute, etc. The next one, the use of entity set versus relationship set. It is not always clear whether the object is the best expressed by an entity set or relationship set. For the ER diagram, the university management system, so if we are just taking the relationship set model for the student course selection, so the alternatively we can imagine the course registration record for the each and every courses also we can connect with the students. Then we have to maintain the entity set to represent the course registration record, and the entity set registration it's also related to the exactly one student and exactly with the one section. So now how two relationship set, that is one to relate the course registration record to student and one to related to the course registration record to section. If you see in this diagram, so we are having three entities: section, course registration and student. So the relationship between the section and registration is section registration, and then student and registration, that relationship is going to be maintained by the student registration. Then similarly, so the relationship set usually we are just maintaining as a binary, but sometimes the relationship having a non-binary also, the more than one relationship is going to be maintained. So sometimes it is a three ternary and more than one in this, more than three we can call as a n-ary relationship set. If you see in this diagram, so three entities, it's going to be connected with us a relation set R. So it is relating entity A, B and C. So the n equal to 3. So it is called as a ternary relationship set. And similarly here we are maintaining the four entities A, B, C and E. So each and everything is connected with the relation R. So A and E is connected with the relation of AI and BI, and the similar way for the E and C also. Another one issue, the placement of relationship attributes. So we know very well, so some relationship having a attributes too. For example, the student and faculty, so the relation is a counselor or mentor, so that we can able to indicate with the attribute. So from which date onwards the faculty may be a mentor of that particular student. So that placement of relationship attribute is also one of the issue of the ER diagram. Because the one-to-one relation and one-to-many relationship we can associated will be there, and one of the participating of the entity set rather than with the relationship set. If you see in this diagram, the attribute of the relationship set is a here date, which specifying when the faculty become the counselor for the particular student. Because that attribute will not be the same for the all the student, it may vary. So from which date onwards he will be a counselor for the particular student. So the one-to-many relationship, it may be a challenge for us. So these are all the issues we are facing when we are constructing the ER diagram. When we are just talking about the entity, another one type entity is there, so that is called as the weak entity. So why we are calling this entity as a weak entity in the sense? So we know very well all the entities are going to be identified. The indication we have it as a unique representation. So that unique representation attribute is called as a primary key. But in our weak entity set, so we don't have such kind of unique identification. So simply we can say that weak entities do not have a primary key. It is always depending on the some other entity, so that is called as a strong entity. So we can see with this example, the customer borrows a loan. Here the customer having a two attributes, as customer ID and then name. Then loan, we are having loan name and loan date. Here, the loan is considering as a weak entity. In a ER diagram representation, the weak entity is always represented by the double rectangular shape. And how it is related with the strong entity. That relationship set also going to be indicated by the double diamond shape. The link is going to be identified with the double line. Now, the customer is considering as a strong entity because we are having a key, primary key, that is a customer ID. The loan always we are going to taken with through the customer. So which customer taken the, what is the loan type? So through the customer we can approach the loan entity. So it is called as a weak entity set. So this is the difference between the strong entity and weak entity. So strong entity, majorly we can have it as a primary key, but weak entity we don't have a separate primary key. So through the strong entity only we can able to identify. Thank you.